Okay, we're on TV. All right, so this is the OGAT meeting of December 10th. I'm the chairman, Saul Silverstein. I'm in center top box. On the right on the left is Chris Kelly, our assistant coordinator. To the right is Ron Davis, our coordinator. Below Ron is Bob Kelly, committee member. In the center box is Mike Muddett, committee member. Next to Mike is Marlene Silverstein, the recording secretary, and in the bottom box is Gary Del Piano, committee member. First item on the agenda is questions and comments. Does anyone have any?
Nope.
I do have a comment. Just a reminder to Chris that that we did get a lot of equipment, and in the last Cable Advisory Council grant, and one of and some of that was that was added to the system, and we have a schematic of all the equipment and how it's hooked up. So I would appreciate it if you could update that schematic for the new equipment, so that we are current on the schematic, please.
Sure.
And if it's possible for you to do that by the next meeting and send it to the committee membership, that would be great.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, thank you. First item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the November 12th meeting, and everybody was present at that meeting, so everybody can vote on it. Does anyone have, I'll take a motion to approve them, and then we'll see if anyone has any comments.
Second.
Okay, so that's Bob Kelly and Gary Del Piano seconding. Thank you very much. So does anyone have any comments on the meeting minutes?
I don't.
Hearing none, I will ask for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and I vote aye. It looks like it's unanimous. Thank you. Next item is the budget. And I've sent you all a copy. There's 3 pages this time. This is, again, the town's new accounting system. The first page is the general fund. It's labeled general fund, top left. And that's basically the money that the town uses to finance OGAT. And we're pretty much on track. We've got the miscellaneous supplies, 16% used, temporary salaries for camera operators. That's only less than 10% used because we haven't been using temporary camera operators during the COVID crisis. Services coordinator, 41% expended, assistant coordinator, 18%. That's low because a bunch of his salary was funded by our last CAT grant. And the camera, there's another, I'm sorry, that first one, that 18, the 9% was actually recording secretary. The camera operators is 21%. Again, that was not used because of the COVID crisis. The next page shows the account detail for the CAT grant. These are all the equipment items that we purchased with the last CAT grant. There was approximately $28,216 worth of equipment that we purchased, and they're all listed here. All those expenditures. And the last page is the labor budget or the labor appropriation we made from the grant. And again, the town's accounting system, the new accounting system, is not showing one of the line items, and it's showing 2 extraneous line items. And this is an issue because in 5 days, I have to submit a report to the Cable Advisory Council on how we spent the money. And although I can show them how we spent the grant funds for equipment, I cannot give them a complete accounting of the grant funds for labor at this point because that part of the budget accounting system is not operating properly. I spoke to the finance director this last week and this week, and yesterday he was supposed to start looking at it. And I will contact him tomorrow and see if he's gotten any further. So I may have to truncate the report as of June June 17th, which is the last report we got out of the old accounting system, where I know the expenditures are good up to that point. And what comes after that, we will have to send in an update to the CAC grant report. And we'll see where we go from there. We do have to send a report in, because if we don't, then we are not eligible for further CAC grants until we send the report in. So I think a preliminary report will probably suffice. And we'll try and get a final report once the accounting system is corrected. Any questions on the budgets? Yes, Gary.
I just want to add one thing, and that is monies that we spent out of the on the CAC or through the CAC grant are not monies that the town of Orange gives to OGAT. Those are all funds that we gather from Optimum or Altice or whatever it's called nowadays. We're not sure. But anyway, just wanted people to know that that's not a tax dollar. That's money that we have gone out to get a grant for, and we've gotten that grant through Altice.
Correct. Good point, Gary. Thank you. And yeah, so the issue is compounded also because there was some leftover labor funds from last year, and that went to the temporary camera operators. And so I've pieced together from little bits and pieces that the finance director has able to send me that we did spend almost all of the money from last year's grant, the labor money. And what I could gather, we were down to like $5 left in the labor funds, plus the benefits, which gets spent when all the money is all the labor direct funds are expended. And the other thing I could piece together is it looks like we may have spent all the labor funds from this year's grant. In fact, we may have overspent the grant money, and they may have been charging it still to the grant. So they have to, like I said, they have to correct the budgets and the accounting to show that could only spend the amount we were given, and the rest gets spent, goes on to the town funding portion. And then we see if there's anything left over, we have to still spend that in the coming few months. So that's where we are with budgets. Any other questions on that? No, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the coordinators report. And Ron had a little difficulty generating the report due to some computer issues. And you were unable to print out the last version that
That's right.
was done. Okay, so I have that, and I will attempt to go through it. So it looks like during November, we recorded 12 meetings and one other event for a total of 13 meetings. So between July 1st and November 30th, we have recorded and shown 74 meetings and 4 other events for a total of 78. And if you project that out for the year, that would be approximately 187 programs for the year. The other thing in terms of November was live hits on Telview. Telview is our new streaming and video on demand provider. We dropped the previous provider. Chris is still working on figuring out how to generate the hit data, both live and VOD from Telview. And yeah, I guess you have a phone call scheduled with them, or planning a phone call with them on this, Chris?
Yes.
Okay, so hopefully we'll have something in next month's report. So the only statistics we have on hit data is from YouTube. And that's a combination of live plus video on demand hits. And in November, we had 407 of those. Other things going on, the town of Orange continued to hold many of the official board meetings virtually, and OGAT assisted by cable casting them, almost all of them live. The OGAT meeting of November 12th was shown live only on YouTube because the pension board was meeting at the same time that OGAT was meeting, and they got on TV before we did because they were on a half hour before we were. So we ended up only being shown on YouTube while they were shown on Optimum, Frontier, and Telview. I'm sorry, Optimum and Frontier. Yeah, and Telview. I guess they were on Telview also. In early November, OGAT changed vendors for the live stream and video on demand. That service used to be provided by Discover Video. Discover Video informed us they would no longer be supporting video on demand. So we switched to TelView. So our new service provider for both live stream and video on demand is TelView. And there is a link to the live stream on the Town of Orange website. But there are also several broken links on that website that go to Discover for both VOD, video on demand, and live stream. And I have written a letter to the IT director, and he has acknowledged receipt of that. I told him what had to be fixed and what the new correct links were, and he said he had put that in the queue, and that should happen. So hopefully someday soon, all the links on the town website to the OGAT live stream and video on demand will be updated.
Pretty confusing right now.
What?
It's pretty confusing right now.
It's not going to be as confusing if they honor what I asked them to do. What I asked them to do is, right now, the link on the first page is very hard. It's not obvious that there's a link there. It's the title that says OGAT is available live and video on demand. And I told them, make that say click here or something like that. And then that link goes to a page that shows all the links. It shows the live stream, the video on demand, and the YouTube link. And I corrected the live stream and video on demand link. The YouTube link was correct, I think. And then there's a fourth link on that page that takes you to the OGAT landing page on the town website. And that also has all the links. And I told him to correct those because some of those were dead. So he promised to do that all, and hopefully that will happen sooner rather than later. So if the audience wants to see us right now, this is being shown live on YouTube, I believe. Is that correct, Chris? Right now we're live on Optimum, we're live on YouTube, and we're live on the TelView live stream.
Correct.
And we should be on video on demand on YouTube sometime after this program finishes, if this meeting finishes. So also, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, no Town Talk episodes were produced during the month. That's it for the coordinators report. Are there any questions for Ron or Chris?
Thank you.
Nothing? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the coordinators report.
So moved.
So moved.
I don't know who got there first.
Second.
Gary.
Gary? Okay.
Second.
Second by Bob. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next item is action items. So we had two action items that were still open. The first was update the procedures for changes in update our standard operating procedures for changes since the last publication to include the effects of the switch from Discover to TelView for streaming and video on demand. So, Chris, you are in process of doing that? Yeah. Do you know when that'll be done?
We have that
Get done for the next meeting.
Next meeting? Okay.
Yep. Still working on it. Yep.
And the second item was capital planning, and you were asked to get quotes for equipment to upgrade the Board of Education meeting room at Mary L. Tracy School so we can broadcast from there. We already broadcast from there, but I guess the equipment is kind of old, and we want to make it look a little bit more like a clone of what we're doing from Town Hall, I guess. And what we're trying to do was see if the total equipment cost was over $10,000, because the Capital Planning Committee was entertaining requests for capital projects in excess of $10,000. And Chris sent me an email earlier in the week saying that it was under 10,000. And so we will use the next CAC grant to try and fund that. We'll put in for that. So I'd appreciate it, Chris, if you've got those quotes, if you would send them out to the committee to review for the next meeting, because I want to get a head start on the CAC grant process. Usually we get a invitation to apply for the grant sometime between January and March, I think, and I want to get a head start so that we're not rushing at the last minute to get it all done.
Absolutely. Yep.
What fun would that be?
Excuse me?
So what fun would not be rushing be? Just keep going. Just keep going.
All right. The CAC grant, I guess we just talked about the CAC grant. Equipment inventory is up to date with all the new equipment we have. And the Town Talk program, what I recall from last time was that there were actually two other action items. The ones I read you before were the new ones. The old ones were the Police Academy Town Talk program. Ron and Chris were supposed to try and work together jointly to set up some sort of teleconference or video conference with the police officer who's helping to put that
We haven't
together.
done that yet.
That ever happen?
Nope. We'll try and get it done in January.
What?
We'll try and get it done in January.
In January? All right. And then the other one was to add a procedure for recording and broadcasting virtual meetings to the OGAT procedures book. And that had been last meeting, that was delayed by unrelated issues and setting up the new equipment. And you were going to make an update and a draft update and forward it to the committee. Chris, I didn't get anything. Still in process? Where are
I'm
we?
still in the process of that. There's some things that have changed a little bit with the workflow, so I want to update that and then send over something finalized.
You think we'll have that by the next meeting?
Yes. Yep. That is on its way to being complete.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any questions on those action items or on the Town Talk programs? Does anyone else have anything else that we've discussed already that they want to talk about? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, I saw it. That was Bob, and who got the second?
Gary did.
Okay. Thank you all. Short meeting, short and sweet.
Stay
I
safe.
like them that way.
Have a happy holiday, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Same.
Same to you.
Happy Hanukkah.
Take care.
Merry Christmas.